Meet 33-year-old Samuel Boiyo. A third of those years, Boiyo has been sick. He has been living with a condition which resulted after his grandfather, who was his sole breadwinner, passed away. For 6 years, Samuel went to hospital with high blood pressure, constant headaches and backaches. But despite the numerous drugs prescribed by doctors, his condition remained the same.
For the last more than 1 decade, like 12 years, yes, and I'm on antidepressant medication, which I take every day. That is morning and evening. Yes, I have been admitted several times in the hospital, especially Madare Mental Hospital and Liparo.
Samuel had been slowly sinking into depression. He would later find out that he was living with a recurrent depressive bipolar disorder, a condition he says causes him to have serious shifts in mood, energy, thinking and behavior, which will last for days, weeks and even months.
I suffered about 5 years without the proper medication, so it could lapse. I had an episode that I could get in depression because of lack of medication. Yes, but after maybe 5 years of suffering, I got the nice doctor, and since I started taking the medication from that, I don't get sick nowadays.
His conditions worsened, especially because of how his family and friends treated him when the doctors put a diagnosis to his ailments: depression.
Like I remember my brother, at the time he beat me very bad. Then he even told me that if I get depressed, somehow he will kill me. Up to date, I feel that there is something I have never told him about alinikosea, but I think one day I will tell him.
He felt like he had lost the battle with deep depression and many a times thought of ending his life.
Yes, many times I thought of committing suicide. And I thought when you are depressed, you think you are on your own world, remember. You feel you are worthless, so you want to kill yourself.
Many Kenyans with disorders like Samuel's are unaware they are suffering from depression.
Depression is part of mental illness. Yeah. So we say someone is mentally ill when they have the symptoms that I mentioned earlier. Like, for example, you will get withdrawn from people socially. You have this, you don't want to do the things you used to do, pleasurable things.
Among symptoms of depressions to look for include fatigue, feelings of guilt, worthlessness, hopelessness, and difficulty in concentrating, remembering details, and making decisions. Depression is among the first leading causes of suicide. Police have recorded tens of similar cases linked to depression, a situation that has been worsened by the high cost of living. It can also lead to drug addiction and especially alcoholism, which is seen as an easy way to relieve stress.
There are a number of things, like if one was employed, they get depressed or something, they might lose their job, family disruptions, other marriages break, dropping out from school.
The latest World Health Organization estimates suggest that around 2 million Kenyans are suffering from depression, with the country being ranked 6th in Africa with the highest number of depression cases.
Poverty is one of them. How easily do they access medical care? Yeah. So in this, as you already call them low-income countries, that tells you there's a form of poverty. So that leads to, we can't access medical care as fast as people from the Western world. Yeah.
There is a lot of stigma around mental illness. Many Kenyans believe that mental illness is linked to curses or demons, as Wanjiru Mbudhia from Uzima Mental Health tells us.
Well, someone else has another condition, probably a different mental illness. That was said to be bewitching, you know, culturally. So it has a cultural aspect of it where people never used to understand it. But is mental health illness madness? No. It's an illness like any other. It's an illness. That's what people need to understand.
She also says there is no information on mental illness to educate the public, and the ratio of one psychiatrist to 420,000 patients does not help better matters.
People never used to understand that by the time someone has very poor mood, doesn't want to talk, is always sad, you know, they didn't understand clearly what this person is communicating because of that lack of information.
The key barriers to effective care include lack of resources, lack of trained healthcare providers, and social stigma associated with mental disorders. After all is said and done, how can we treat depression?
Depression is treatable. Just like we say, go for assessments. When you feel these symptoms and they're prolonged 2 weeks, going 3 weeks, you still feel the same low moods, seek medical help. So that way, by the time you seek earlier medical help, it gives you a chance of overcoming these symptoms very fast. Yeah?
The good news is that depression is preventable, and most importantly, it is treatable. A better understanding on what depression is, what causes depression, and how it can be prevented will go a long way in helping reduce the stigma associated with this condition and help more people come out for help. Ouma, Onyango, KUTV, Nairobi.